It's the most incredible feeling to be here. This is live.
Live.
WildEarth takes you on daily intimate experiences in nature live.
This is a very, very different adventure, charged with emotion.
Join expert guides as they search for Africa's most iconic animals.
How awesome is this? She's coming right past our vehicle. Take a closer look here.
Oh, careful. Oh, no.
Ask your host questions and have them answered in real time. Join us live every day on WildEarth. This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Greetings everyone. A warm welcome to you in the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have old buffaloes here resting and enjoying the day. Welcome aboard to your very own Safari Live from the African wilderness. Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to you in the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have an old buffalo staring at us. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Big James. The temperatures have warmed up. It's about 29 degrees Celsius and about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So that means these animals need to cool off. You can see some of them in the grasses there. Well, this one is finding it hard because there's lots of flies covering his face. He's trying to nod his head to keep off the flies, while the rest are just flapping their ears to keep off the flies. Seems like they had been in a mud wall or a mud bath just not long ago. You can see some of on their necks there. There are lots of mud. Sometimes we call these mud boys or the dagger boys, because of how they wallow in the mud. Since they don't have fur on their bodies because they've lost it from old age, they need at least to wallow in the mud regularly. Now this team has separated from the herd because they're old. They can't keep up a pace with the entire herd, because herds keep on moving from a long one distance to another. So I'll stick around with this old bulls as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to andBeyond in Ngala. At the moment, we're sitting with 3 southern ground hornbills all perched up in a tree and actually calling. So I'm going to just keep quiet for a little while. Hear that very loud booming call. Such a beautiful noise. So this afternoon you are with me, Rowan, and Odie behind the camera, and we are actually sitting in the Timbavati River. Just to our left and up on the northern bank, we've got a small journey of giraffe, I think 5 animals in total, just feeding or browsing around, and then impalas also just to the right of them grazing. And I always say, if I was an impala out here, my best friend would be a giraffe. It's just they can see for ages. They can see predators everywhere around them. So I would definitely stick to giraffe if I was to be any other prey species in this area. Interesting. I think it's because of the weather that the hornbills are calling now. You usually hear them very early in the morning. It's possibly one of the first calls you hear. And I've mistaken it a few times walking down from my room to the lodge to be a lion. So I usually stop and I listen, and then because it's such a deep sound. But yeah, very, very beautiful. So with them, I mean, that's about a 4-kilogram bird. And from the size... Mobile laptop, I think you said it sounds like a real beat, that call. Would make a great trance song, wouldn't it? But what I was saying, from the looks of it, I think the male is in the middle, and either side of them could be female or one of them could still be a youngster. So you see how it hops across with the wings. So generally the male is bigger than the female, but all of them have the distinct red just below their bills. Yeah, the youngster looks to be on the right. I think it's still a bit maroonish around the eye and below the bill.
Sorry about that. So we are in the African bush. Sometimes the signal doesn't play with. But welcome to andBeyond Phinda. We've got some white rhinos here, and looks like a mom and 2 of her calves on the right and a bull on the left. My name is Djuma, and behind the camera we've got Craig, and we have come into big open grassland where we actually were driving around this morning, and we've come to see if we can be as successful as we were this morning, finding quite a lot of animals. And to us, Bob, we came across over the one hill and just saw about 6 rhinos on the hillside, which there was at least 4 here next to us. So it's mom that's in the middle there, and the older calf on the right, and then there's a big dominant bull that's kind of come towards them, but the females chased him off quite a bit. There you can see the little calf right next to mom there. Actually standing right next to mom with his head almost underneath her. I think he might actually be suckling there. Mom's moving around too much. You can see the female has quite a bit of mud on her as well. She's a little bit of a different color to the other youngster and the older calf. Tori, you are asking if rhinos are usually solitary, with dominant bulls are always by themselves. I don't know if you can hear that. Sorry, I'm going to get back to your question now, Tori. Can you guys hear that squeaking sound? It's squealing like a... or something like that. It's actually the youngster that's asking and wants its mum to stop so that it can drink some milk. So Tori, just to get back to your question, dominant bulls are solitary and will only meet up with females and other rhinos to fight and to mate, but females and youngsters do form little gatherings called crashes. Like you can see this female with an older calf and younger calf, or the wind's just turned and you can see her reaction immediately towards the bull's scent being blown onto her. That sound is just so cute. But I think we are gonna stick around here for now and see what happens with this bull and these other rhinos. If nothing happens, then we'll keep going.
Well, jumbo everyone. It's another beautiful warm afternoon here in the Masai Mara, and we have a male ostrich, very busy, what they do best during the day, feeding on small grasses and seeds. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Bungay. We're set out here in the plains of Kichwa Tembo, where we'll be looking for lions, part of the migration, and maybe try and find some lions for you guys. It is a very warm afternoon, but all in all looks like it's going to cool down quite soon. There's a bit of breeze, so it is a good combination, or what they say, a good combo. Well, I have a male Masai ostrich who is in season. I don't know what he's doing behind that shrub, but he's in full breeding plumage, and when he's in these colors, he just attracts lots of females, and I'm expecting to see a female come by quite soon. Yes, usually when they're in this color, they attract lots of attention. And you will see when he comes out, he was pink the other day, but he's actually more pinkier today. He's busy eating, I think, some sort of grass or shrub. I cannot see exactly what he's eating, but they do eat, small insects, grasses, seeds, even some, it looks like it's grass he's eating. And he's quite busy. Males are black and white, as you can tell, and they're usually gray in color on their necks and legs. And during breeding, they are the ones that come into season, and then when they get that reddish color, pinkish, almost becoming red, becomes, very attractive, and females just come towards their way.
So we're still sitting in the same spot, watching the same giraffe. The birds have now stopped calling, but they were going on and on and on. I was trying to figure out whether it would be actually a deep house track or more of a trancey track or maybe some jazz. You couldn't really figure it out. But yeah, all the giraffe, they must be really happy with the amount of rain we got. Basically all the trees are budding, so new leaves coming up, which is very, very nutritious for them. So I think they're in a really good space. But so is the Impala. I mean, if we drive around now, with the amount of new grass coming out, I think all the animals are just absolutely loving it. Pity the birds stopped calling. So they are known as southern ground hornbills. And ground hornbills, because they weigh about 4 kilograms, so it's just easier for them to be on the ground majority of the time. Still sitting in the same tree. So what we figured out is that the one in the middle was a male, and then the one on the right is definitely a female, a little bit younger, and the one that was on the left a little bit earlier is another female. And mostly there was a duet between the older female and the older male. As you can see, a very, very large bird. Also a massive bull. I think the most interesting thing I've ever seen one eat is a puff adder, and it almost ate it like spaghetti. It tilted its head back and it just swallowed the puff adder whole. Really very cool to see. Very, very cool to see. We couldn't believe it when it happened. See the one on the right grooming its feathers? They've actually got beautiful wings, white tips on the ends. When they do fly, a really big wingspan. Rosalind, I think you asking how strong are their beaks, how strong are ground hornbills? Actually very, very strong. Not even mentioning the puff adder, I've seen one chase a scrub hare, and I know this sounds really bad, but it killed the scrub hare with one stab of the beak. For those that you don't know, a scrub bear is like a bunny, like a rabbit, a wild rabbit out here. So, very, very strong beak. Also, it's so huge. So, yeah, quite a dangerous bird, especially being on the ground. They also even hunt baby impalas every now and then. So, quite a dangerous predatory bird. Probably one of the largest beaks you'll find out here in the wild. I wouldn't want to fight one. Turns out there are 6 giraffe here, not 5. Quite a nice little journey. Trying to figure out, majority of them looks like males. Actually, here comes one of the hornbills. You can see the white tips on the wings. Probably going to be followed by the other one. Here comes the next one. You could actually hear it flying over, just the wings flapping, flapping, flapping. Well done, Odie, on trying to keep up with those. But beautiful when they fly. So I'm pretty sure they'll end up landing now somewhere, maybe in the river or just on the banks, and looking for any food. So what we're going to do is carry on and see what else we can find out here.
We have found some red flowers as we have searched for Tlalamba the leopardess. And we think she's around here because her tracks come past here. And she was causing great consternation near the camp a little bit earlier on because the monkeys were going crazy around about lunchtime. They were going... which is what they do when they see something that might want to eat them. My name is James Hendry. On camera this afternoon we have got... there's his thumb. And we shall go back to that beautiful tree with the red flowers. That is Shotia brachypetala, or the weeping boer-bean. It is named weeping because it weeps nectar onto the ground, and boer-bean, farmer's bean, because apparently the voortrekkers who came up into the hinterland of South Africa to evade paying tax in the Cape Colony way back when in the mid-19th century, they didn't bring enough coffee with them, basically. And so in order to substitute for coffee, they sometimes roasted the beans made by this tree and used it as a coffee substitute. I have never done that. I imagine it probably wasn't as good as your finest Arabica, but there it is. Kendra, the animals that feed off this tree, I tell you what, at this time of the year, it's largely birds. There are lots and lots of birds that will try and get at the nectar in those red flowers. Sunbirds, Mariko sunbird, white-bellied sunbird, collared sunbirds, scarlet-chested sunbirds sometimes in this part of the world. And then you'll find squirrels knocking about there. Elephants like to eat the leaves and the bark sometimes. And you'll find lots of other birds that are associated with eating the insects that go for the nectar in the flowers. So if you sit beneath a tree like that with a pair of binoculars and you sit still, you'll see lots and lots of life crawling around on a Shotia brachypetala or at this time. And if we listen carefully, we can hear the call of the black-headed oriole, who's also up in the tree looking for insects.
Well, we are here once again, and looks like the female is really presenting herself to the male, or to the cock, we'd call him. She's the hen. And usually they do portray that behavior of wanting him. Sometimes there'll be more than one hen, up to 5 hens, and they'll portray that behavior. But until he's ready, he pulls the strings when it comes to, the seriousness of courtship in ostrich. I've mentioned before that, when mating, we might have more than one hen, and after mating, It will take just a few days, and then one female will find an appropriate spot on the ground where she'll make a nest, usually very hidden, and it's very, very hard to spot it. Kevin, very much like a chicken, after the cock mates with the hen, it will take just about a week, and then they'll start laying eggs. For the ostrich, one female finds an appropriate spot on the ground, usually very hidden, because the male is mating with more than one female during the mating season. They will all lay eggs in the same nest, and eggs can amount up to around 25 to 50. And when the major female is ready to sit on eggs, she will sit on them. And the incubation period is about 6 weeks, and when they hatch, they are taken care of by the male and female together. Usually they are very, very aggressive. While hatching, sometimes you'll find that one hasn't chosen or found where the nest is really east, and so sometimes you find eggs laid and forgotten in the middle of nowhere. They are eaten by the Egyptian vulture. It's the only kind of predator that feeds on these eggs. It uses its mouth to take a small rock and then hit the egg to eat the inside. Also, hyenas do prey on the eggs, so they are the only two predators that feed on ostrich eggs. Yes, there is a lot of omelets, and one egg is equivalent to around 24 chicken eggs. So make sure when you go to ostrich farm and get one, you have a lot of company for breakfast, because you might not end up finishing. I have tasted one, and it's got a very acquired taste. Not everybody will like it because it is very, very rich.
We've just come across a black-bellied bustard. Let's see if he calls again. He was calling quite a bit. Oh, he's going into the long grass. Oh, we're just about to lose him. Oh, there we go. He's gonna call. Oh, one of my favorite calls of all birds. I'm so glad that everyone heard it as well. It's that's just disappearing into the long grass now. It's actually a one of the star birds on Phinda. So andBeyond has birds that are quite special for certain areas, and the black-bellied bustard is one of the star birds of Phinda. So very cool that we saw it. I actually can see it through the thickets. It actually looks like it's just standing there. Listen. Oh, there it goes again. So he's just standing there off to the side. And we don't have. I can just see him through the tree there, and it looks like it's a male. With the black belly, and then the other bird that you can hear there in the background, it's calling it saying tiri turu. That is a rufous-naped lark that's doing his territorial call as well. Alright, but let's see if we can creep a little bit closer. I can see if we can maybe get another view of this black-bellied bustard. But otherwise we're going to keep on going.
Back here in the Mara, we've come all the way to the Mara River because we had a big herd of wildebeest, we had a big herd of topi that had tried to cross this mighty river, But it seems like because the rain has come, it's raining over in the horizon there. It seems like all of them have moved to the upland. So no one is actually attempting to cross. Because previously we've seen some big crocodiles actually on the pathway where these wildebeests and zebras and topi would have gone through. So they're slowly walking back. Look at all those wildebeest up in the uplands there. It seems like not a good day for their crossing because it's raining, and of course that is what attracts the wildebeest to go and graze. I reckon that they can smell rain over kilometers and kilometers away. So that's why they're heading back that direction. We had hoped to see this in the morning because it was hot, temperatures were high, rising. Most of them were thirsty, so I thought maybe that will prompt them to cross. But here we are. When the weather pattern keeps on changing, then of course it also limits their movement around this ecosystem. Lots of topis have young ones, so they can't even attempt to cross whenever they see the crocs. These are very good when you see them crossing the river. They are super majestic and very, very neat to see when they do that. So I'm just going to Hammond, thank you for your question. They travel the same way that the wildebeest do, but I reckon up to maybe over 2,000 kilometers because they don't always go further down to the Ndutu plains where the wildebeest go to calf, so they maybe go halfway, which is about 2,000 kilometers. Because all of them seem to be heading up, I'll follow them slowly and see where they're heading to, or maybe they might try to go and use a different crossing point. Lots of hippos calling. Look at the background there, look at the sky. Beautiful sky there. So as I'm following these topis to see if they're going to cross to another point, let's take you over to another safari vehicle.
We've just crept a little bit forward and we've got a beautiful view of this black-bellied bustard. He's been calling quite a few times. Here we go again. Let's keep an eye on him. Okay, no, he's just preening a bit. But if we see him stretch that neck out, then he might call again. And a lot of the males calling these days, as it's the breeding season, so they're calling for mates. Here we go. Listening. I cannot help myself but laugh every time I see this bird call. It's the most hilarious thing to me, but it's one of the most spectacular calls ever. And how beautiful is he with his beautiful black-bellied, where his name comes from. Oh, and what a special bird to see, eh? Not as big as the Kori bustard that they have in Botswana, but still a very beautiful, beautiful bird. That black belly just makes him stick out against the vegetation. Wow. Let's see. He is preening again. Might give another call. Here we go. Again, I can't help myself but giggle. That was so cool. I love how he pulls his neck in just to give that little whoop at the end. And he's probably going to be calling quite a bit until he finds a mate. Actually sitting here, I heard one calling in the distance as well. So this one's also keeping on calling, hoping that a female will hear him and come and look for him as well. But for now, I think we're gonna leave this boy and hopefully he does find a mate and see if we can go look for some other animals.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Tswalu Kalahari, and we have come back to this wonderful site with these fantastic big birds. Good afternoon. My name is Kyle, and behind camera is Glenn. Welcome to Tswalu. Thumbs up. So we've come back to this lovely site with these two ostriches, and we've actually found now the female to be back here. We didn't have her here last time. We just had the male here. So it's very nice to introduce the lady of the house. And we're going to come on to her now. You're going to have to really... a little bit more to the right there, Glenn, for us. A bit more to the right. A bit more to the right. She's so well hidden. There she is. Look at that, folks. So that's the female ostrich sitting. Sanjeev, how do they protect themselves against predators at night? Unfortunately, they would fall victim to lions and other animals, other carnivores, especially lions. So the way that they would stay safe is just being very alert. So they have external ear openings, so they can hear fairly well. They've got very large eyes, so fairly good eyesight. And then defending oneself against a predator like a lion, an ostrich would kick its legs forward and use its very large foot and as well its very long toenail to defend itself from attack from a lion. But a lion is a very, very powerful animal, and will overpower an ostrich fairly quickly. So its position, so where it's sitting and resting for the night, is a very important spot. And then as well as just being constantly alert. Besides that, they can use speed. They're very quick to get away from a predator. So one or two attributes that allows them to stay safe, but a lion is very sneaky. Very, very sneaky. And there's Dad. And you can see one or two eggs just to the left of Dad's dark body. And we'll be visiting her every day to see if one of these beautiful large eggs would hatch. Now, obviously, they'll just allow the ambient temperature to do a little bit of incubation. And when it does get too hot, then they'll obviously cover and shade the eggs. And it's got to stay at a nice medium. It can't get hot and cold. It has to stay constant. For now, we're going to sit here and see what's going to develop, and we'll send you off to another amazing location.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad that out here in Djuma it is dry and it even is a little bit cloudy. The sun is poked out and warm as well. These lovely Impala are probably enjoying themselves as much as I am this afternoon. My name is Trishal and I've got BK on camera with me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I hope you can. Yes, you've got me back. I'm glad you can hear me. Like I said, Trishala and BK. And we are sitting here with these Impala that have decided to walk off. They're all looking nice and dry now and not soaked like they were these last few days. Which is just lovely for them. And of course, even though they're not soaked, the ground still is, which means that they're still getting a tasty treat as they move through the bush. Now, I'm going to go about looking for the hyenas today. Check out all the dens. Hopefully, I'll be lucky. There they go. So, checking out all the dens. Like I said, I hope we'll be lucky. I've checked out Gallagher Shortcut and looked at Aubrey's. No tracks around there either. So we're going to go back into that block by Philemon's Cutline and check that out. Also, this morning, I did check out the Cheetah Cutline Firebreak Den, Gwen's old den, and nothing there either. It doesn't even look like it's been touched, really. No tracks and no fresh digging anywhere. But I would love to find them before we have to leave. That would be awesome. I've been trying, visiting dens daily. But thank you all. I hope that with all the support and the vibes going the hyena's way, they will show themselves. Haven't had much hyena activity around camp either. Oh, I should also check the Battalier Road den that was used briefly. That would be good, I think. Well, good luck for us all. I hope we find them. So, shall we go on with our plan and head towards the various dens? Let's go for it. I'm also going to go into the Mulwati. And check on our spotted eagle owl friend. And I'll use that way to go up to Battalier Road, where there is another possible den site for the hyenas. Sonia, you'd like to know how much does an impala eat in a day? A lot. They're constantly eating. And generally it'll be about 5% of their body weight. And that's really applicable for any mammal, except for hippos, who eat less than that. They eat about 3.5% of their body weight. And that's because they can conserve a lot of energy by being in the water. But it's a good general rule. 5% for most mammals, 3.5% for hippos. All right, off I go and check these dens, then into the Mulwati and to the Battalier Road den.
Oh, exciting. Going to go look for a den of a hyena. How exciting is that? Welcome back to Tswalu. These two doing a great job at protecting these eggs. When myself and Glenn actually came into the area about 70-80 meters to the west of us, there is lion tracks. And to the question that was asked before, so the animal just holding its nerve, allowing its body coloration to blend in with the dark night scheme. And then if, all else fails, wait until the last minute before you unleash some speed to get out of there, because they will try and defend, but against lions, they would rather book it out the area, let's say it that. So, Jen, there's, with birds and their plumage, you'd mainly through the bird or avian world have that sexual dimorphism where the male is different in appearance in comparison to the female. The female normally being duller in color in comparison to the male. The male has to go through courtship in order to impress the lady. And when that courtship is complete, the lady is normally the one sitting at the nest. So in this case over here with Ostrich, the male being fairly dark, jet black in his plumage, and the female having that dark brown appearance, their color scheme works brilliantly for day and night. So at nighttime, predominantly the male will sit in the nest where his body is concealed in this dark landscape. And now if you look at her, she just looks like a termite mound. So her coloration fits perfectly within the daylight color scheme. It's not always the case. There is a few species where female is more prominently displayed, let's say, that in comparison to male. But the majority of the avian world, your males are more flamboyant, let's say it that, more brightly colored, or yeah.
We are on our way to go look and see if we can find the lions that we saw this morning. We actually came across a herd of buffalo that is spread out over quite a bit of an area. And you were talking about earlier about the difference between males and females in the ostriches. So see if we can point out the difference here between some buffalo as well. So right here in front of us, we've got this big bull. And one thing that stands out quite a bit, apart from his piece of skin below his body there, is you can see his horn is quite heavy with like a helmet on top of it. Can you actually see there's a bit of red bark or so that's in there from him scratching his horns on some trees or so? And let's see, there's actually a big bull off in the back there as well, looking towards us. And then you can see he's got also a helmet on top of his head, like that big boss. We'll see if we can find a female now. Liz, you're asking how tall the buffalo is. I would say from its foot up to its shoulder, it's probably about 1.5 meters high. Maybe a little, yeah, I would say about 1.5 meters high. So big animals. Let's see, they're starting to get a move on. See if we can find a female. There in the back I can see a female now coming over. Just with her head there in a bush now, horning the bush. So still nice big horns. But if you look at her head, you can't see that big boss or helmet that the bulls have. She doesn't have to fight for dominance like the bulls do. See some red-billed oxpeckers riding on their backs as well, and also flying in between them. There you can see the female and the bulls as well. But I think we're going to leave this herd of buffalo for now, and Craig and I are going to see if we can maybe go look for some other animals.
We are sitting with our most common antelope, and they are wandering up towards the north, and they're enjoying the stillness of this afternoon. The ceaseless driving southeast wind has stopped. Sorry about that. And sorry, they're enjoying the stillness of the afternoon and a bit of warmth that's come with it too. And so they're standing in the open area and they're enjoying the grass, freshly flushed green, delicious. And very important little flush of green that's really going to help the ewes just before they give birth. They will be giving birth, well, probably in the next 2 weeks we'll see the first new lamb, very first one, and then the great flood of Impala lambs somewhere in the beginning of November. Could be a bit later than that, but around then. And so this little flush of green will really help. I must just reiterate that there is absolutely no evidence whatsoever that Impala are able to hold back their fetuses and only give birth when conditions are favourable. There is no evidence for that. It is one of those guides, legends that is spoken and accepted as orthodoxy and then delivered to guests constantly. It's not true. There's no evidence for it, and it comes from the fact that the Impala have a little known and little understood second rut which occurs in September. And what that means is that some of the impala give birth only in February because they only fall pregnant in September. And I think that's where it comes from. Presumably, if conditions were so appalling, they may have bought the fetus. And I'm not sure from what stage they would be unable to reabsorb it. I'm not even sure if they can. I know that some mammals can. I think some mammals can. Maybe they can't. Anyway, these guys can't hold back their young. Dragonfly, you say apparently kangaroos can do that. Well, that wouldn't surprise me because a kangaroo, remember when a kangaroo gives birth, it gives birth to a tiny, tiny, tiny little joey. It's a totally, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen a joey as it emerges from the womb and climbs into the pouch, but it's about 1/100th the size of the mother, whereas these ones are enormous. They're huge babies, and so they couldn't be held back.
Well, we are here, and as the weatherman predicted, we're going to have 7% chance of getting some localized rain. He was very, very right and on point. I am here in one of the most dense, thick bushes of Kichwa Tembo area, and I have a number of, giraffe that have decided to take cover underneath trees, and you can tell one in the middle, he's sort of not, going anywhere. Yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's just standing there and looks like he's using the tree as an umbrella. Look at that. He's just dead still and just hoping maybe that rain would pass. Little he doesn't know that eventually all those leaves will get wet and he's going to get really, really wet. It's something that I've not seen before, giraffe taking cover underneath bushes, but that's very, very interesting. The others are quite in the open, and here you can tell they're in their most favored habitat, thick shrub that is full of different types of trees and shrubs, and that's what they eat. They are browsers equipped with very long lips, finger-like, to pluck and pull out leaves off the trees. So they're perfect, habitat. Remember, these are Masai giraffes, Africa's tallest animal, very abundant, and they are doing really, really well. They're coming back. Here, there's different types of bushes that I know. There is a croton dachogamus, there's Diospyros bassinica, and there's also the Cypron pelides. I don't know which one they're eating. There's also, Sodom apple could be there. Wild hibiscus they could be eating. So they're quite different shrubs. It looks like it's peeking, one to the other. And that means, there is quite plenty of them. And it can choose wherever it wants, to
Okay guys, so we're here going towards the hyena den, the one that we're used to. Okay, I see a cub that's out. This makes me very happy. For so long they were gone. Well, for so long we mean like maybe 3 days that we couldn't see them at all, and there was no evidence of any of them around. Okay, I'm gonna show. Okay, let's look at the cubs from here while I check if there's an adult around. There's all 5 of them. Okay. This is amazing. I'm so glad. I'm so happy. But as you know, we can't spend time here if the adult, or one of the adults at least, is not there. If you go to the right, BK, you'll see the other one of Ribbon's cubs behind a bush. It's just sitting down. So all 5 are definitely here, but we're going to just take a drive around away from them. We're not going to get closer. And last time with the lioness, that was a great example of why we don't hang around when an adult is not around. But I just want to check. Sometimes she'll lie down here. If she's lying down here, then we can stick around, which would be awesome, right? I hope you're as happy as I am. I'm sure a lot of you are. It's been too long. Too long. Ah, she is here. Yes! Yay! She is here. She's just actually lying near them. Unless one of the cubs suddenly got very big. Hello, Poppets. We haven't seen you in so long. Haven't seen you in so long. Alright, let's see which mama hyena we have there. Can't tell yet. Lying flat. Hello, curious things. Hi. Have you missed us too, obviously? Hey? The sun is out. Is that making you all quite happy?
Now that's Justin from Msinga. We want to move on and have a look at...
That is the Game Drive radio. It's Corky. Is it? Yes, it's Corky. All right. And there comes the little one. There she is. Yay. Oh, I feel like somehow my home has been completed. Louise, you'd like to know why we don't stay at the den when there's no adults around? It's because we can't protect the cubs like the mum can. In fact, not at all. And you can see how curious the cubs are. There's Corky's one out there, and one of the other cubs have gone into the mound, and everybody else is under the vehicle and around the tires. So our presence makes them very, very curious. And it could keep them outside of the den, and the den is a place of safety. It can keep them outside that place of safety and be playing around our vehicle, and we can't protect them. So instead of giving them that temptation, if there's no adult around, we just stay away. And that is really the best approach. And the last time, hello, little one. Hi, you're looking so big. A couple days ago, we were at this exact den, and Corky and her little one, which is why we're so happy to see both of them, they were suckling our chair, and a lioness came through. And a lioness will attack and kill the cubs without a doubt if she sees them. And she did see them. She did see them, and Corky's cub ran straight towards the lioness because the lioness was standing by the den, and she just made it round and into the hole in the side. And the lion ran after Corky, and then there was a whole lot of vocalization. And in that instance, what if Corky was not there and we had attracted that cub out? We don't want that. So that is why we only stick around when there's an adult around.
These lions gave us a runaround second to none this morning, and here we find them. Ah, so deeply satisfying. Now, the Nkuhuma pride, which is our most famous pride, killed, or part of it, killed a buffalo on a reserve east of us this morning, and nobody could figure out why it was. why it was that the buffalo seemed to have been killed by one lioness and a couple of males and the cubs, and nobody knew where the rest were. And here they are. They're quite a long way from there. They obviously don't know that their cohorts have killed a buffalo. And it's very nice to see them. So they walked up and down last night and flummoxed us because their tracks didn't just go in one direction. I suspect they were here this morning when we were looking for them, though. We've got a nice bush to lie under, and it's just warming up now. Now, there's also one panting there, which indicates to me that a meal has been consumed. Yeah, they've eaten something as well. Clearly not something the size of a buffalo, but they've most certainly eaten something. Any of you happy to see them? That's great. And we'll sit with them, I think, probably for the remainder of the afternoon and see what they get up to. Unfortunately, none of the youngsters are with them, which means that they're unlikely to get up and play too much, but they might get up and start looking for the rest of the pride. Puma, they are currently at the junction of the Firebreak and Mvubu Road. You're wondering where they are exactly on Djuma. So if that means anything to you, that's where they are. If that doesn't mean anything to you, they are northern central boundary. Much yawning. And I think this yawning and general lethargy is going to be accentuated by the glorious bit of warmth that is now coming out of the sky. It's very pleasant sitting out here now. Unlike this morning when we were freezing, it's now just delightful. We have huge action, one of them rolling over to reveal a belly semi-full of food. One demonstrating an exceptional pair of dagger-like chompers.
We've come across an elephant bull by himself. He is looking wet. Could be he was from a mud wallow. Look at how he's just nibbling on that grass there. Slowly, and then dusting it off, and then putting in the mouth, flapping a little bit. The temperatures are actually cooling down. We have rain. It's a part of the Mara, so this elephant is at least cool. Sometimes you see bulls with other bulls roaming around together, so possibly the rest of the bulls are within this area, or if not, he has to walk to where the rest of the bulls are. They form what we call bachelors, and they always follow big, mature bulls that helps them in this daily activity traversing the herds where they analyze the female's intent to mate with them, and also challenge other bulls that they come across. They sometimes walk out of the conservation area into farmlands, and sometimes they can be in a bit of a risk, but the good thing here in this conservation area, we have a good security team that protect our parky dams. Lone bulls or bulls his age sometimes go back to their natal herds, but don't stay for long. But they're always coming out of the herds and then walk around with the big bulls as they walk from areas to areas, because they're not territorial. They are super big, so they're not in danger at all. They don't fear anything other than sometimes man who can be troublesome to these elephants. But in the conservation area, good thing we have numbers rising, so our elephants are at peace. I'm going to follow this elephant bull to see if there's other bulls within this area and see what they're up to as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
Look at all of them. I'm so thrilled. So thrilled. Look, they're all standing for a family photo, too, in one spot, instead of all spreading around and giving BK a hard time. Look at that. Hearts, too, have gotten so big. Corky's little one, getting some spots on her neck. Look how tough she is. Yes, you are. They're enjoying that little mound of sand there. I've seen quite a few of them go up and play. Such a joy to watch. I'm so glad we all get to see this. I know you've been waiting for it. I have too. So much. I've been trying so hard. But as usual, when you think that something's lost or you need to find something, check in the most simple place, the place where we always saw them. Look at that. Some digging. Oh, too sweet. Well, of course I'll be sticking around here for as long as we can and watch all of them play and enjoy this great day in Djuma.
Our lions are drinking mud. That is by far the least offensive thing that's going on here right now. And Paul, would you please cast the camera to God's most maligned creature? I'm obviously being facetious, but right over there is, to my mind, the most maligned creature in all the world. That is a hooded vulture, and the hooded vulture is currently consuming the most disgusting substance on planet Earth, and that is lion dung. This particular lion dung, or scat, has just emerged, and so is probably still warm. I really think that to have been born a hooded vulture, you must have been a criminal of the worst possible kind in a previous life. Can you imagine? What's for dinner, Mum? Well, I'm afraid, son, I'm going to have to tell you something today that is going to distress you, but You better accept it. Anyway, let's go back to the lions. I thought they were going to leave us, but thankfully they seem to be about to have another sleep here because they are very close to the northern boundary. Oh, the poor thing. Yes, Renee, you indeed. You say you. When Mpho saw that for the first time, he turned the colour of the newly green grass. So offended was he by the fact that there is a creature on planet Earth so maligned that that is what it must consume. Yeah, these guys definitely ate something last night. I don't think they had anything to do with the dead buffalo, but it's possible that they did. I don't know why they would have left it though, so I'm going to say they killed something else. There we go, that's quite sweet. Ngala, I hope fervently for the vulture that it has no taste buds at all, although I think it does. I don't know if it thinks it's tasty or if it's just accepted that that's its lot in life, and, you know, it mustn't hope for lobster thermidor and chicken a la king and beef Wellington. Instead, it must accept that lion scat is what it will eat. It's not the only thing it eats. It will also eat rotting flesh from a carcass. But a lot of the time, it just eats lion dung, which is offensive. It really is the most evil-smelling stuff you can imagine. I used to think that doggy doo-doo was the worst, but no, I think lion is much worse. I know this because I have the remarkable talent, and it really is a talent, second to none. I have a remarkable talent for standing in the excrement of animals. I don't know why it is. If there is, I will stand in it. And so I know. I have great experience of what smells the worst, and definitely lion scat is the worst. A comment there saying maybe it would think salads and pasta tasted disgusting. Maybe it would, and I hope fervently that that is the case. So that's from you, Sky. I hope fervently that the vulture can think of nothing more delicious than lion scat, and that the thought of eating some kind of gourmet meal makes it feel sick to the pit of its stomach. Because only if that is the case can the hooded vulture be satisfied with its existence. Otherwise, surely, it must feel very bitter every morning it wakes up.
James has many talents, and he forgot to mention another one of his. That is to step in monkey poo, too. At least he doesn't step on the hyena scat. Then none of us would be his friend. Although the hyenas would love him. Oh, got a bit of practicing going on. You would think, but it's actually just a bit of dominance display here. As you see with lots of mammals, they'll mount each other just to assert their dominance. I will tell you a funny story about James and a hyena, though. A couple nights ago, when we heard the hyenas squealing near our rooms, it was the evening or early morning after the lioness had been here. And it woke me up, and it woke James up. And I was just lying in bed listening. And then I heard James' door open quite quickly. So I thought, oh, what's going on here? Let me get up. And then I heard it close just as quickly. So I was like, okay. Didn't hear any hyena activity. And then when we met each other in the morning, I asked him, did you go out to see what was happening? And he said, no, he got up to get his shoes because he heard the hyenas and that was his main concern, to get his shoes that he left outside. Good on him, because if he didn't, the hyenas would have got those shoes. Nothing like a good chew toy. I found BK's shoe once on drive. Aspire, you'd like to know how long hyenas can go without food? Well, these little ones can go probably a week to 10 days without a feed. It's a struggle, but they can do it. And adults, because they're able to gorge themselves, they can also go about a week without food. But again, that is a stretch. Because being predators, they metabolize very quickly. And also being adults, they're moving around very quickly. So the young ones can survive a little bit longer without food because they can be inactive and in the den. But an adult is using a lot of energy. So only about a week. That's about it for most. Oh, look at that. For most animals, or most predators especially. As for water, you know that we work with water. All our cells work by using water to transport everything we need. So after 2 days, 3 days maybe, that is it for without water. Dehydration will set in within a few hours. Oh no! Getting it from both sides. If they get a good meal though, they'll get a lot of that moisture requirement from the liquids within a carcass. But no food, no water. Very, very few days. Luckily for our hyenas here, our cubs are getting good milk, they have so much energy, and our clan is doing very well too.
Well, here I have one of my favorite birds that when I see I get really excited. Look at those legs. Can you see that? It's called the lily trotter or the African jacana. They have some of the most, largest toes. I don't know if you can see them. They're like wires attached to their legs. They're so long, it's hard to believe. Yeah, I hope you will see them when it comes out into the open. This is a bird that pairs for life, but the female is usually, slightly larger than the female. You see those legs? See how big they are. So big. And, it's also another very interesting bird because, after mating, the males usually sits on eggs and takes care of the young ones. Very unusual, in the bird species. And those legs allows it to walk on these shallow waters so it doesn't sink. It holds a very big surface in that loose creepers in the water, so it's able to eat insects. As you can see, it's hunting. African jacana. It's got a flight. It can fly, but flies very low and very short flights. And it's got the call is a very short call. It goes. It doesn't last very long. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, it's nice to see them, you know. You never used to see very many of them here in the Masai Mara, but in the recent times, I'm seeing quite a lot. JT, Jumbo, these birds build their nest on the ground? Yes, you know, in a water surface. They will find, oh, there's the other one. Yeah, I would say the one to the right is the female. Usually females are larger than males. Look at that, he's standing tall. Beautiful African jacana. They build a nest on a perch like the one she's sitting on. They'll use twigs and grass, dry wood, and then line it. You see those legs? Huge! You know, they line it with a few feathers. You know, usually it's a job of the female, and they will lay about 2 to 3 eggs. Yes, very nice to see these guys, you know, over here. Looks like they're finding a safe haven with all the swamps and marshes created by the rains. They are making a comeback. But, you know, take a look at the feet, the toes. Just ignore the bottle. It came from somewhere. Look at them. They're so big. Yeah, those tiny little legs are modified or very a sophisticated kind of bone. It's very thin but very, very strong. So it's able to hold that big body, and it is necessary to have the least weight so they can actually fly well. All bird bones are like that. Yeah, definitely that's the female. She is slightly larger. Yeah, nice. Very busy eating little insects on the surface of that area. Lily trotter. Here comes the male, slightly smaller. You can tell, you can tell by the build. Well, I'll let you enjoy the sight if they're gonna come back on site as we take you to another live safari vehicle.
Now here we have some birds that are really much enjoying eating the vertebrates in the small pond there. We have the sacred ibis, and we have a jacana. Sacred ibis, we have a jacana, we have a yellow-billed stork, we have spurwing lapwing, wow, cattle egrets, black-headed heron, grey heron. So it's nice here. Actually seems like a playground for these birds here. You see the cattle egret and the heron, the stork. They have a special adapted way of how they feed when they're walking in the water. They have what we call a snap bill reflex, where they snap shut their bills whenever they get some slight movement on the bills. It's so interesting when you watch these birds when they're feeding. Sometimes they submerge their heads inside the water. And then when they come up, you wonder if their eyes are closed or not, but they have another eyelid which protects them as they are feeding in the water. They eat vertebrates, small fishes, tadpoles, and even crustaceans, who form a special diet for these birds. Very calm, peaceful. As these birds are enjoying their feeding, I'm going to carry on and take you over to another safari vehicle.
This has just been too entertaining. So much play. so wonderful to watch them. They're just having a good time. Just having a good time, and then also learning so much about where they fall in the clan, what their rank is. Learning different maneuvers. Oh, they look so content, so safe. They just play like this. They're learning so much about their own bodies. There goes somebody's got a foot in the mouth there. So much about what their bodies can do, what they can do. Using all those muscles. Someone's very interested in digging. Oh, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Oh, that one just got run over. Garden poets, you say they're learning to do somersaults? Definitely. This is super important when you need to take down an impala. They're learning all sorts of things. I mean, it's funny to say that, but if you see hyenas when they are fighting or when they're hunting, sometimes they do fling their bodies. And they're learning the limits of how much flinging they can do. Gosh, ribbons too have gotten so big. You guys are saying they have the zoomies. Yep. A bit of the crazies have set in. I wonder if they'll crash soon. Meanwhile, in a more peaceful side of the den world, there is Corky with her little one, feeding peacefully, while the other four use up all their energy. I found that they're so interested in digging, which is also really important because as they get older in the mound, they will start to dig themselves. So Heart's little ones are practicing their digging on that little mound. She's got alarm calls on Weaver's Nest Road. I'm just going to call that in quickly. Stations, I'm at the hyena den and I'm hearing Impala alarm calls on Weaver's Nest. Now they've hidden behind the mound, only a matter of minutes before they come streaming out again. And all the fun and excitement will ensue.
We have found the lions and they are all fast asleep. You can see the two lionesses there, one on the left hand side just picking her head up as a vehicle is leaving the sighting, and another one lying right up against the tree there. We're actually sitting with a male that was lying in the open. Tail fin. She's listening.
I'm sorry that Phinda's lions didn't want to greet you and spend more time with you, but our lions do. We moved around a bit just to see if we could get a slightly better angle. I don't know that this is the best angle in the world, but we'll sit here for a little while. Everyone's gone to sleep, and you can see, if nothing else in this particular shot, the large bellies on all of them. I suspect whatever they murdered last night is fairly close by, or that the kill took place close by, because the tracks go up and down and all around this area. So it's likely that whatever it was met its unfortunate end close. Again, I'm going to say something about kudu-sized. Maybe Ngala bull-sized, but I think even that, I don't think an Impala ram would have touched sides with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lionesses, hungry lionesses. Really, yes, I've been revved once or twice by a lion. I've never had to stand down one of those terrifying charges where the lions stop 2 meters from you and hit the ground and spray sand onto your legs, and you see your life flash before your eyes and that sort of thing. I'm not sure why that is, but I haven't ever had to do that. But I've had to stand still a few times when lions have come out of the bushes and expressed displeasure. And very seldom, but that has happened in a vehicle, where a especially male lion will have a go at the car. And that's particularly scary because it's so surprising, you really don't know what to do. So yesterday, or in fact a better example, is when we tracked the purple-eyed lioness to her den. It was the purple-eyed lioness, pretty sure it was. And we tracked her, we knew we were on fresh tracks, we knew she had cubs close by, and we were being very, very careful, and we spotted her before she spotted us, and we started to back off, but then she saw us, and she growled, and she came out the bush at quite a speed, but by then we were already relatively far away, and so we just calmly stopped moving, and then we walked back again. But because we were relatively far away when she lost her temper, she didn't push through, and it wasn't it was pretty scary, but I mean, it wasn't the most terrifying lion charge or the most terrifying lion charge anyone's ever stood down. But it doesn't happen often if you're careful. If you behave like a moron, it's much more likely to happen. And if you're not paying attention, so if you were walking along that particular riverbed and you didn't know that there was a lion den there, and you just happened to be doing some birding one day, you could get yourself into quite a lot of trouble, and it could be very unpleasant. But as long as you're careful and you know what to do, it's normally pretty okay.
Look at these guys. They should take some of James' advice about lions on foot. I feel like Corky is not very tolerant of irritation in general from any of the cubs, including her own.
Yeah, we're true around here. There's a lot of vultures on the left here as well. I think they have for a meal.
She chased one of Ruben's cubs earlier. Got too irritated. Now they all want to come over and play with little Corky. But Corky was lifting up her head and giving them the stink eye. And Corky's little one is feeding and then watching the others play and stopping feeding, and oh, it was so cool. Are we all really enjoying seeing Corky and Cub? Absolutely. I know we don't see her feeding or nursing often, but I'm very, very sure that she nurses way more often than we get to see. I've said that before as well. She's also experienced. I think that she knows what she's doing. And she sometimes feeds away from the den. I've noticed that as well. So even though we don't see it often, that definitely, there we go. It doesn't mean that she doesn't feed her often. Travis, you'd like to know if hyenas are born with their eyes closed? Their eyes are open as soon as they're born. Eyes are open. Teeth have erupted. Their insides and their canines have erupted. And they're already moving. Now, when we say that eyes are open when any animal is born, it doesn't mean they have great vision. It just means that they're not helpless. They're not living in darkness. But out of all the predators' youngsters, hyenas are the most developed when they're born. But for them to develop fully into the strong animals that we know, it takes them a long time. They're weaned only at about 1.5 years. So they're still having mother's milk up until that whole time. Only independent between 2.5 and 3 years old. So it takes a long time for them to become the great animals we know, even though they start off so well developed.
Welcome back. We have left that lovely pair of ostriches, and just so that they do their own thing, we don't have great vision and we don't want to be disturbing them, so we've decided to move off and see what else we can find. And we stumbled across, or upon, a beautiful breeding herd of kudu, K-U-D-U, kudu, and they are getting tucked into those seed pods from the blackthorn. Glenn mentioned that the sweetie shop there. You can see every lady getting tucked in. And those little seeds being very nutritious in terms of its value, better than you would be finding on general leaves right now. So definitely favoring them. And then we also took a little swing by our lion den site, that mother lioness with those 3 young cubs. And looking at the tracks, it seems like Mom has decided that the little ones should go walk about. So they've left the den site and we're trying to track them down. It's a little bit difficult right now, given the time frame, but we shall succeed at finding them. Here's the right period for them to go walk about. But a beautiful herd of kudu in the open sections of Tswalu. The landscape is just breathtaking, the side of the reserve. We had some oryx there run, Glenn. Yeah, they're gone. It's another kudu cow. So this is typical size of female groups, anywhere from 6 to 10, 14. That could vary depending where you are, depending if you're in the Eastern Cape or parts of the country like this over here. Yeah, the landscape is just ever changing. And 3.5 years working here, and I still look at the landscape like, oh wow, it's so beautiful. It's like I'm seeing it for the first time. But constantly changing. Female feeding fairly low. They've been recorded at grazing. They do have a preference. They are one of the purest browsers. But that might be a low-laying shrub there that she's nibbling off, if you cannot see. Oh, what are you doing, Lady Kudu? But got seed pods, fruit. Obviously, leaves would be a highly fetched after prize item. Seed pods, fruits, that's what they would be feeding on. And definitely utilizing what is available now in terms of high nutritional content. But nice group, safety in numbers. And you can see how nice and close they are to this mountain, or this little kopi, we call it. They are well adapted to move in those rocky habitats as well. Glenn was pleasantly surprised when we saw a group of females moving through the rocky areas of Tswalu. The agility and the precision at where they put those hooves is just remarkable. And I mean, those aren't small rocks, but also a very viable habitat for a lot of animals. From the the rock rabbit, which we have here, a few bird species, reptiles, and then the kudu. We also find up there the Hartman's mountain zebra, which we also are looking hard for this afternoon. Those beautiful shadow stripes or disruptive markings coming out quite nicely there now against the pale grass. So this is typical of the colors in the Kalahari, and once we have rain, that will just flush out into this constant sea of green, which would be pretty amazing. I cannot wait for. We're going to send you off to another location, and we'll see you shortly.
Corky is moving off into the distance. Actually, she's just stood still there. I thought she might move away. If she moves away, you know the deal. Looks like she's taking the cubs with her. She won't do that. But they're just following her until she walks off completely. She's still standing there. There she is. Hopefully she'll just sit down there. I'll keep an eye on her. She's still there. These cubs have come racing through. There's a skid to halt. Yeah, she's just standing there. Okay. Tug. I think it was Tug. You wanted to know how closely related the different hyenas that we have are. Closely in that they share a common ancestor, but the spotted hyena is the most recent to split. It also has a unique genus of crocuta that the others don't share. So when we say closely related, they share a common ancestor. There she is. They're quite a small group in the carnivores, and you know that they have their own special family, Hyenidae. Now everyone's moved off. Cubs have gone into that other little hole on the southern side, and Corky is walking off. So we're going to move on too. Well, I'm really glad we could actually spend this time with them. I'm sure you all are happy as well.
I hope that she goes and finds a leopard now because of those alarming impalas nearby. That would be a good return for Djuma this afternoon, I feel. Now, while you've been away enjoying the gambolling about exhibited by the hyena cubs, I have not been sitting idle. Oh no, I have been doing my researches, and I have ascertained that the only two mammals capable of resorption of a fetus are canids, some canids, and some rodents. And so we were talking about that in the context of Impala recently, and I wasn't clear if they could, at the very earliest stages of pregnancy, resorp the fetus. Apparently, it's only rodents and canids that can do that, and not very late into pregnancy either. So quite interesting there. And the other interesting thing that I found was that sometimes it can appear as if gestation has been extended by what's known as embryonic diapause. Now, I only know that word because I've just read it. I will forget it almost immediately. Embryonic diapause is the process by which the blastocyst, which is the sort of beginnings of the embryo, does not implant, so it sits dormant in the womb for a while until conditions are favourable, and then it starts to grow. And impalas are not able to do that. Mustelids can do it, some rodent species can do it, but very few can actually achieve that. I think marsupials can do it too. Anyway, quite interesting. Also quite interesting is the posture that lioness has adopted. Naturally, she's decided to place her face in front of the only stick that she could. I think these lions must be loving the sunshine almost as much as Paul and I are. Groaning in delight. Yes. Isn't it lovely? There's an angry gypto goose flying over. They're permanently angry. And down in the little gully to the left of your picture, we have the white-browed scrub robin. It's an orange-breasted bushshrike. Coqui Franklin in the distance. Quack, 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 quack. Crested barbet. Southern black-tit. Lovely sounds. Very peaceful to be out here in a vehicle. On foot, probably wouldn't feel quite so peaceful. Yes, shame. So tired. I think whatever they ate must have been pretty close by here because I can smell a bit of viscera. Reggie, you want to know if lions sound like leopards when they cry? I don't think they cry a great deal. When they call, they don't sound anything alike, no. When they growl, they sound quite similar, having a similarly structured voice box. And if they are really angry, they sound quite similar. But no, they don't sound similar when they cry. I don't know that they do a great deal of crying. Never thought about that. What does a lion sound like when it is so bereft that it must cry? Most animals, of course, express emotion very differently from us, and so they won't actually cry. That's not to say that they don't feel emotion. It's just that they express it differently.
Rexon coming from the shop.
Well, I didn't think this day was going to come. Well, this afternoon. Anyways, we're looking at ants and they're racing around holding, but we'll get to that in a minute. Hello, everybody. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Sebastian Roll. He normally is, and he always throws different hand signs every time we go live. This is just WILDwatch Game Reserve. We were watching some ants. Now, those ants look like, or hiss ants, they're also known as. We wanted to keep quite. I'm just joking. Well, I suppose they can if you disturb their neck. But I suspect what has happened here, as we have a closer look, you'll see some of them are getting round things, well, cylindrical-shaped things, and there are others that seem to have something that's sort of a transparent color. I think that they're moving their nest. And I wonder, with all the rain that we've had over the last 48 hours, if their previous nest hasn't been flooded, and now they are doing an evacuation. At first I thought that they had raided a harvester termite nest, but I don't think that that's the case at all. I think that... I think that they're just moving their nest, which is quite cool. You can see they're very busy. They're frantically going in one direction. And then I think once the others have dropped the eggs off, they come racing back. So there's a mixture of workers. It looks like the soldiers are also very much getting involved. Very cool to see. You can see very busy. Also touching one another as they go past. Obviously communicating. Maybe saying one's thirsty, what time's dinner. And I promise that this is not in... fast forward. Busy, yes. They are quite big. I would walk over there to give you some sort of scale to show you how enormous they really are, but I can't get out of the car. But they really, really are quite big. It's really fantastic to watch them, especially when they are off on a mission to try and locate a harvester termite nest, so that they can raid. That's kind of their favorite food to eat. If you get to watch it. Well, that little beetle that's coming in at the back there, do you see it said, that little beetle's going to be in a bit of trouble trying to get past there. Isn't there? Oh, here we go. It stops quickly. Go, go, go. I feel like this is watching traffic in Nairobi, 5 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, in the highways and trying to navigate all the roundabouts, or as we call them in South Africa, the circles, because we have to be very different, with the traffic lights. It's a nightmare. Well, Kirsty also says Johannesburg, but I feel like Johannesburg is easier to navigate. But do you see that? Every time it gets run over by an ant, oh no, it's been tipped over, it kind of just stops. Help it up, ant. Oh, apparently ants are particularly rude, and they knock other insects over and don't help them get back up again. That's very sad. Maybe it will be able to, I don't know, turn itself over. Was this the end for the beetle? This could be the end. We have to call the ambulance. Look at them. They don't even care about that beetle. No, it's still there. Maybe one will mistaken it for an egg. Oh no, it's back up again. Well done. Oh no, leave it alone, quick. I don't know what kind of beetle it is. I wonder if it's a tiny little dung beetle of sorts. It looks like it. No, now you've gone the wrong way. Oh no, what are you doing? And it's all very dramatic. Over again. Nick! Oh, I can't believe that we've just watched a hijacking take place. It's basically
what has happened. Pridelets, he's gone. One of the soldier ants picked him up and took him away. So sad. This is very traumatizing. Goodness gracious. Well, I'm very happy that we stopped for these ants. We actually almost drove over them, but luckily we didn't. I had to slam on brakes, and poor Sebastian almost ended up in the front seat with me. You know, when you're scanning left to right, it's sometimes you forget to look on the ground. At this time of the year, obviously, with all the rain, there's cactuses and terrapins and frogs, and then, of course, well, hissing ants too. But there they are, very busy. But it is crazy to see the size difference between the workers and the soldiers. Now, normally the soldiers, obviously, are the ones that do a lot of the raiding. And they're also there for protection, of course, to make sure also that the workers do what they're supposed to do. But if anybody else comes around that is not supposed to be there and tries to eat them, goodness, you wouldn't want to be stung by a hissing ant. Yes, they do sting, so that's not quite nice. I can't believe what we watched. That was ridiculous. First a car beetle crash, and then it got kidnapped. I mean, it was very shame. Yeah, wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately. But there they go. I would like to see where they're headed to, because where Seb has just followed them, they got onto a little animal pathway, which I can kind of see. And then I wouldn't imagine that they would move their nest too far away. And I don't know how to determine where the new nesting site is going to be, because I think if it's an emergency, like if, chambers are flooding, it's kind of like evacuate, grab as many eggs as you can, and larvae or whatnot, and I suppose put them somewhere else. But I don't know how far away. I mean, I'd love to get out and have a little walk around, but we'll have to stay in the car today, unfortunately. But look at them, very, very busy. And also able to navigate over that terrain so easily. Nice to also see the bright green shoots of grass pushing on through. Off they go. Now go into a little burrow. No. I'd be exhausted. I'm tired if I had to walk that distance, but anyways, luckily these ants are much better at surviving than I am.
So we've come around to the male line that is lying in the open. So between the two males, the one that's lying off to the side by the females, he would be the dominant one, and then this one at the moment is not the dominant one. He's just curled himself up because we have quite a chilly breeze blowing here, and he's really enjoying his midday snooze. They've been moving around quite a bit throughout the last couple of days, these two males, until they met up with these females. They were seen quite far away from this spot, and they've walked all night to get here. And like we said earlier this morning, the lionesses are looking for their sub-adult cubs that the males presumably chased off. So they've been walking on the scent of their sub-adults. But nonetheless, this poor male is not allowed to lie with there next to the other male and the females. He's just here by himself. You can see the breeze in the grass there. And he indeed does have a beautiful, beautiful mane. Nice and dark as well. Him and his brother have very, very nice dark manes. And you can even see that he is quite dark in colour just on his back there as well. Just moving his head a little bit, getting a bit more comfortable. Look at that white just below his eye as well. Also, you're asking how much I think this male lion weighs. It's probably, because it's a male and he's quite big, I would say he probably weighs around 220, around there, 220 to 250 kilograms. So that's it's quite a big range, but it's difficult to say because also Depends on how full his stomach is as well. But yeah, somewhere around there. I think there's a slight size difference between the two males. One's a little bit more stockier, and yeah, so quite heavy. Yeah, I was just pointing out that little white bit under the eye there. Same principle as what cheetahs will have. Those black to see better during the day, and it like absorbs and takes away the glare from their eyes, where the white helps them see a little bit better at night. It reflects that light back into their eyes. But I think we are maybe going to leave these lions because they've been sleeping and we've been sitting here waiting for almost an hour, and it seems like they are going to probably be sleeping until it gets much, much later, and see if we can go look for some other animals.
So we have driven past something quite spectacular, and we thought we would just stop and appreciate the enormous structure built by these tiny, tiny little birds. I don't know if you folks can hear, but there's actually chicks currently within this nest, and that's the high-pitched sound that everybody can hear. 14 centimeters, only 27 grams. Excuse me. So it's incredible. Think about these little birds building and maintaining these enormous superstructures all year round. Males and females build nests. It's actually been documented that males will actually build at a faster rate than that of females. Still don't know why. Maybe it's to impress the female. And you'll have multiple tunnels going up into the central part of the actual nest, and that tunnel can be 250 millimeters long in length, and then going up into a little chamber that will house the little birds, including little chicks. It'll also be lined inside to make it nice and comfy for them, but a super amazing structure. And if you think about being in the Kalahari here, you've got, temperature is a very big variable out here. So this species of bird have created this nest in order to evade those big fluctuations of temperature. So it can be as much as 10 to 15 degrees cooler inside the nest in summer, and then 10 odd so degrees warmer than in winter. So a very amazing behavioral adaptation to allow these birds to survive from here all the way into the southern part of Botswana, as well as a part of Namibia. Really incredible structures. And sometimes we just have to sit and just appreciate just the complexity and the dedication in the bird flying off, collecting one piece of material, coming back to the nest, accumulating it and then flying off and collecting another piece of material. Pure dedication. And look at where they fly up. I mean, that's quite skillful. But yeah, I think that's where humans got the idea of thatching from, is from observing these beautiful birds. It is in what's somewhat of the same principle, because those blades of grass are actually forced or pinched in between the existing nest. And it's absolutely mind-boggling how it all just remains there. So I'm going to ask Glenn if he can move down for us. Glenn, can you zoom out for us a bit? And then a little bit more down. Let's go down, down, down. And then can you go into the middle fork? So there, yes, a little bit more down. Okay, and stop. So that there is the start of another section of the nest. So if you take a look at this nest, this is a part that would be created by other birds, and that's the start of the framework, so to say. And then they'll take thinner material, and that material gets thrusted and pinched in between that existing lump or clump of vegetation. But then if you look at the whole scheme and the whole nest itself, I mean, how that all stays together. No glue, no knots. It's quite remarkable. And they fly vertically into the Minamu. How often do we get rain in Tswalu? We get yearly rains, but that is variable over the years. Obviously, Tswalu has accumulated quite an extensive rainfall pattern, and the amount is variable, and as well as when it falls is also at a variable state. It tends to be into the summer period and also into the later part of summer, December, January. That is when we receive our rain, and anywhere between 100 and 400 mils of rain per annum, and that's just a drop on the surface of South Africa. And whereas these birds just need about 15-20 mils, and any time of the year they will respond to the rain and actually actively start breeding, but they tend to coincide their breeding with our summer rains. That's a characteristic of the savanna biome, is that you have summer rainfall. Some places like Cape Town, which is in the savanna, which is in the fynbos biome, they receive winter rainfall. It's a Mediterranean climate, and that's why the vegetation grows like it does. But here in Tswalu, and as well as Djuma, it's a summer rainfall period, and later in the year. Oh, very noisy. And it's remarkable how they know whose nest is whose. Getting a good scope of all the vegetation around the nest. You can see all the droppings that Glenn showed us there. Obviously that feeds and fuels the tree as well. All the nitrogen, all the phosphorus, when it eventually does rain, that seeps into the soil and then allows that to be taken up by the roots. And that's very important elements for... Oh! Looks like there was a hijacker there. See, that bird pulled another bird out of that entrance. We do have other birds using these nests. A very beautiful little falcon called a pygmy falcon will actually hijack a nest chamber for its own breeding purposes. And then other birds like barbets, red-necked falcon have been recorded nesting inside these beautiful elaborate nests. What else? Red-billed buffalo weaver as well. But a very easy bird to recognize with that nice grey bill, and then you can see that nice black frontal shield at the base of the bill itself. Beautiful. Cleaning his beak. But marvelous just to sit here and observe and be in total awe.
We are in the Mulwati to look at another mum. We saw the mum Corky nursing her young one. And here we have our spotted eagle owl, also sitting on a treasure. It's been about 3 weeks, just a little less than 3 weeks actually. The first time we saw her sitting like this, we had just returned for the stint. So it's 2 weeks and a few days that we've been seeing her like this. We still have some time to go. Another 2 weeks at least. And we'll keep watching her, checking on her. She still looks good, looks peaceful. Maybe a little tired, but she's looking great. There's it. Oh, she's looking at a crested francolin that's just fluttered down in front of her. I love watching species interact, interspecies interaction. It just doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter what species, the way they react to each other. It's a mountain climbing Franklin. No, it's not. It's a crested Franklin, everyone. Gorgeous. Everyone can't wait for the chick to hatch. Me too. I wish I'd be here when the chick would hatch. I'm sure it's going to be very exciting. I'll just have to watch when I'm at home. It's so nice to know that these eagle owls for at least 2 years in a row have used this spot to nest. It's just awesome. Nora, you'd like to know what the eggs look like. The eggs are white and they're round, basically round, less egg-shaped less chicken egg-shaped, a little bit more rounded. I'm just paying attention to this grey go-away bird. There's a red-chested cuckoo calling in the background. Doot, doot, doot. That's lovely to hear. Now, last time we were staring at, or one of the last times, we were staring at a spotted eagle owl, and squirrels and grey go-away birds started alarming. Tandy showed up with her cub. And being a human, in my nature and in your nature to find patterns, you can't help it but hope that the same thing happens again. But that grey go-away bird is not alarming it at our spotted eagle owl here. She's so difficult to see unless it's looking at me. Well, I'm just going to have a quick scratch around here. It was lovely to spend this time with another mother this afternoon.
Sorry everyone, you're just coming out to us as we're moving, but we've got some white rhinos that are right here. Just give us a moment. I'm going to stop the vehicle now, see if we can get into this little gap here. There we go. It's actually a female, and it looks like quite a bit of an older calf. You can see the one with the horn is the youngster, around about, looking at the height compared to mom, almost about 3.5 to 3 years to 4 years old. Female calf as well, or sub-adult should I say. See how dark the mother is? Been rolling in the mud somewhere not far away where the soil is nice and dark. And we've got beautiful light and clouds with quite a cool breeze blowing. I think they were very close to us earlier, but the wind just turned and blew our scent onto them, and that's why they kind of scurried away and why we had to move. See, the youngster is a lot more nervous than mom, looking at us with its ears, listening towards us all the time. See how it's picking its head up, listening, smelling the air as well. So relying on that smell and sound a lot more than its eyesight. Mom's happy though, she's just feeding with her head down. So special to see a rhino with a horn. Beautiful, beautiful animals. Just enjoying the grass, and they're on the move now. And we're like in a bit of a woodland area, or like savanna type area with a bit of grass and quite a bit of grass and scattered trees. These rhinos, I think, are heading down the hill towards a denser area to see if they can get out of the wind. As we said, they are relying on their hearing and smell more. Jessica, you're asking if rhinos pick a mate for life. No, they do not. They are not monogamous. The females only mate with one male to get a calf, but they can move into different territories of different males throughout their life. So if she goes in to eat this female, which I'm sure she would have done already, looking at the size of her calf, she would mate with the dominant male that is in the area, but her home range might stretch into different bulls' territories. So she might have mated with a bull maybe in a different area and then have come into this area. So they don't really mate with only one, but over their lifetime they might mate with a few, if that makes sense. So they're actually zigzagging, turning a bit in the other direction now as they're feeding, enjoying all the grass. Bobby, you were asking if I know, see how she just curl up. I think I'll send blowing straight onto them. So Bobby, just to get back to your question, they don't have any natural predators per se, a fully grown rhino, but younger rhinos, I've heard and seen videos and heard of reports and of other people seeing rhinos being caught by lion prides, and also young rhinos even being killed by hyenas. So on Ngala, that's also on WildEarth, we have, I think it was a year or two ago, Eric actually had some hyenas harass a young rhino and harassed it until it was so tired and couldn't do anything, and the next morning they found the hyenas on the rhino carcass. So it does happen, but a fully grown adult rhino, almost never. See how they're both like picking their heads up and listening towards us. Breeze turning and also swirling around these trees, taking our scent towards them. Amazing how those ears, both ears, one can listen one way and the other way. Completely not dependent on each other, they can move independently. Just hear some dung beetles zoom by, where you have the dung beetles also coming back after the first rains have been falling. But for now, I think Greg and I can keep on going so we can take our scent off of these rhinos and leave them be so they can feed in peace.
So we've just been driving through the Timavati riverbed hoping to find something. It's quite interesting behind us. It's flowing slowly, heading east. And we just stopped here now because there's a bird calling called a red-chested cuckoo. And today is the first time I've actually heard them. But of course, with this amount of rain, I think all your migratory birds will start coming back. So it's also known as a peat my throat. It makes a whistle. There we go, that whistle. So we've had tracks of the lioness, the Birmingham young lioness with her cubs, and then also tracks of a female leopard. And it looks like the tracks are on top of rain, but now it's almost pointless tracking them because we can't go off-road. So we thought, I'd rather not walk into that area, especially with the cubs there, and not disturb them today, because we wouldn't be able to drive them. But basically in the same spot we had them the other day, which is good news. As for the leopard tracks, I lost it. It was completely, I tracked it for about 2 minutes and it just disappeared. So yeah, doing what leopards do best. Must say, everything today just looks so beautiful and clean with the rain. I mean, you could see the clouds in the distance. It looks very cold but gorgeous. So far, there's no breeze, so it's not too cold right now. But I think a little bit later on, it might just cool down quite a bit. So just lots of baboon tracks throughout the entire riverbed. Of course, all of them will sleep on the banks, so they'll choose a high tree. They'll just sleep there for the night, trying to get out of the way of, well, leopards, lions, and hyenas, which would be their predators. It would be a silly mistake of a leopard to climb a tree filled with baboons, because the rest of the troop will actually protect the one being attacked. The parrots squeaking. Lena, good question, asking how easy is it to spot tracks in this riverbed. So Lena, it is rather easy, especially now after the rain, you know, because they'll dent in a little bit more. The sand is quite hard, but not bad at all. Lena, let me try to find you a nice track. Although saying that, sometimes it makes it a little bit tougher, because things like impalas or kudus, if they cross, it will just literally make a hole. So it's a little bit tougher to distinguish between those. Those are all impala tracks, so I'm not just going to show you a hole right now. But Lena, yeah, I mean, if we had to find leopard tracks or lion tracks in here, it does make quite a nice imprint or indentation. So rather easy to follow. Let's see what crossed over here. Odie, can you see any nice tracks on your side? I mean, we've got, okay, I'll just stop here. We've got old elephant tracks. Probably one of the easiest tracks to spot. Let me get out and show you this. Actually just a round hole. So here, there, everywhere, just these round holes. You could see coming from the bank of the river, there's a nice game path, and it goes straight up onto that side. Also a very nice game path. Of course, I just made some nice tracks there as well. Okay, so we're going to continue going in the riverbed, see what else we can find. I'm hoping for maybe a leopard in a tree. I don't know, I always hope for a leopard in a tree. But yeah, let's just continue on.
Listen to this. It's a young male calling. We've come across to the eastern boundary. It's so interesting to hear them calling, or trying to. Now this is some of the rest of the Ngala Pride. Somewhere between here and, I don't know, 400 meters into Torchwood, which is the reserve east of us, there is a buffalo kill. And these guys came out and were lying on the firebreak area here. I don't know why they're calling. Another one coming back. In fact, there are more coming slowly out of the bush. Slowly coming this way. I thought they were going to go back, because 3 of them headed back towards the kill. But there are others filtering out of the bush now. Their faces are covered in buffalo viscera. Classic. That's generally how my nephews greet me. They lie down on my head. Well, Jacqueline, I think calling what he was doing there roaring is to give it a description it doesn't deserve. That's kind of just slightly more than a contact call is what he was doing there. It'll turn into a roar. I mean, if he carried on doing it, it would be a roar.
Neil, Michelle,
and I think you'll probably find that what they do
you're welcome.
is when the rest of the pride roars and they're with the rest of the pride, then yes, they will start roaring. But he wouldn't do it on his own here, I don't think. So that's just a contact call, getting the rest to come and join him. So sweet. And at least they're still young enough to be a bit more active than the others. Adults, I mean. And they're full, but they're not that full. The FC just saying that there was a bite in the side of one of them. Which one? I didn't pick that up. My wife is in the final control. Back right. Okay, the one on the back right. On its back now. Yeah, that looks like the one. So on the covered shoulder, apparently. I wonder if there wasn't a squabble at the kill or something, or the male's moved in and he's being nasty. Maybe they've just had enough of the stink. Beautiful. What a lovely afternoon. After what can only be described as a fairly dire morning on the game drive front. We've had a perfect afternoon. Oh, a couple of flies biting that one. A fly has just bitten me as well on my leggy. So I think there are a number of biting flies here, so I'm going to try and kill some. while you go somewhere else. No need for you to witness the crime.
Well, Jumbo, thank you for being back. What happened is our airwaves were hijacked by gremlins, but they have released us. Here we are in another very beautiful setting, and what is happening here is that I have a very big, huge herd of wildebeest that are grazing to nowhere. They're just grazing around aimlessly, and they're quite a good number. After the short rains that we had in about an hour ago, it is perfectly chilled out right now. It's nice and cool, and I have them surrounding me everywhere. This is typical of them. I don't know if they're going to stay here, but their pattern has been coming here during the day and then leaving the marsh, go out into the other plains. I think they know that this place usually is full of predators, and so they're normally out and then coming back in the morning. Today they have prolonged their stay because it's quite late and they're still here. So I don't know if they're going to leave. It looks like they're just grazing, others facing towards me, others, north, others south. So it's quite not sure of exactly what's happening, but what is happening is we have a few of wildebeest to the left that are really facing towards the open, and that's where we had seen a lioness that was just lying down. We were hoping that he would not be seen, and so we could see a hunt. It is still very possible that she will hunt. You see those wildebeest, the farthest ones, looks like they have detected something, and they're quite keen on trying to pinpoint and make it out. You see those ones there, very alert, stamping their feet onto the ground, even dropping some droppings. That is a sign of fear. And see that male, he is quite fearful. He's not sure. I don't think he has seen anything, but the topi in front of him has sort of told him there could be danger. You see that topi. The lioness is off to the left, somewhere in the long grass. I don't know if we'll be able to see it, because once he's seen, he can lie down flat so that they can easily forget that she's there. I don't know where she is. She should be somewhere around there. If we don't see her, definitely she's... Oh, there she is. You can see there she's rolling. Yeah, well, I'm gonna stay here for a little bit longer. Hopefully the wildebeest forget and we can see a hunt. And while I do that, let's take you to another live safari vehicle.
We were driving along, coming into a nice big open grassland, and we saw a dung beetle on some buffalo dung, busy building his dung ball. So it's a smallish dung beetle. We haven't seen the big ones come out yet, but they've all started coming out after the rain that we've had, and you can see this one is actually working vigorously and making sure his dung ball is nice and round, so it's a little bit easier to roll. Trying to make the bottom side a little bit round, but it's rolling onto him. Oh. He actually was about to leave, and then he just stopped next to the dung earlier and started taking some more to add it to the dung ball. I think the rest of Southern Africa, with all the rain coming now, is going to see a lot more dung beetles coming. Yes, it's not the best dung to make dung balls with. Must look for... I wonder if this dung beetle is maybe using a bit of the dirt around to try and keep it together, because as you can see, buffalo dung, especially in this wetter month of the year, is not, it doesn't have much consistency to it. Oh, he's climbing onto the dung ball there. Getting rid of the little stones and rocks that's on it. Not ready to get them to stick to it just yet. Let's see, might I actually bring the dung ball back to the dung again and try and fill it up a bit more. Interesting how he's cleaning it, trying to take the bigger little stones and so off. Michelle, you're saying it's so cool that they make it around, and I guess pushing a dung ball around through the African bush is already a feat of massive magnitude. Like, to make it round probably is making their life a little bit easier. And it's interesting that they make it round even before they start pushing it, because I think pushing it rounds it out even more. See, this one is very busy trying to roll it around slowly so he can make every single piece of it nice and flat and round. I think he's done adding dung to it, but look at that, you can see those little arms of his just working. You see through the pebble off there as well. Daniel, you're asking if dung beetles steal other dung beetles' dung balls. Said a few dungs there, but yes, they actually do. We're gonna, some point, I hope we find a big pile of, say, rhino dung, and then we'll stop and see if we can maybe find some. And you'll see them actually fight over dung balls often, and actually throw each other and wrestle each other for them, and throw each other around. And so it's very, very interesting, and you can actually see how powerful they are just by looking at them fighting like that. And often you'll see them rolling their dung, and then a few other dung beetles like running after them to try and catch up. Yeah, so like I said, the dung beetles really wait for the rain to come back. And it's been about 3 or 4 days now since we've had the last rain. And look, he's off. I think he's made it round enough, and he's decided that he's going to go find a spot to bury it and maybe look for a mate. And as he's rolling it, there's going to be small stones and pebbles and so getting stuck to it. So that's going to form a nice protective layer around that dung ball. You can already see quite a few pebbles and so getting stuck to it. And this buffalo dung not having too much consistency to it, I imagine, is quite sticky. Luckily for this one, just fell off. Okay, let's see what happens after he's fallen off. He might see how he's climbing on top. Oh, fell off again. The wind's blowing a little bit. Gets on top, orientates himself a little bit, and there he goes again. Just making sure he's going in the right direction. Luckily he's on the road, so it's a little bit open for him. But imagine trying to push these dung balls through the grass, and so it must be incredibly frustrating. Every time he falls off, he just gets back up onto the top of the dung ball to make sure that he is still heading in the right direction. And there he goes down, and he's rolling again. So this time of the year, all of us are very careful to just drive through dung and also keep a lookout for dung beetles. When we have guests on our vehicle, they always have a fright when you quickly swerve out of the road, and they always wonder, what was that? And you go back and there's some dung beetles rolling down the road. They do have right of way. Such an important role that they play. He's keeping on going, And such an important role, like I said. When they bury the dung, obviously it's for them to reproduce. They lay an egg in there, and the larvae will feed, and the baby will feed on the dung before they come out the next season. But it also puts nutrients, valuable nutrients, into the soil, and also cleans up the area of all the dung piles, it seems. Especially these sloppy ones that we are driving through when the buffalo are around. Always making our cars dirty, so I'm glad the dung beetles are back to get rid of them for us. But for now, I think we're going to leave this dung beetle and let him keep on rolling. And we'll keep our eyes peeled and see if we can maybe find some more. And see if we can find some that are maybe fighting Daniel. But yeah, we're going to keep on going.
Dung beetles play a vital role in control of dung. Can you imagine all these wildebeest here? If they all deposit dung in a day, how much heap of dung we'll be having? And if it were not for the dung beetle, then we'll be having a problem with that dung. Now here we have our wildebeest, and it seems like they're on a mission heading to the west. It's been raining towards the west, so they follow the rains as their daily norm, and tomorrow maybe you might see them coming back to this area. I like the sound they emit as they are walking. They walk in single files. You can see zebras walking amongst them. It is so nice to see this kind of behavior each and every day, them going back and forth, back and forth. So right now the herd is now splitting. You can see some are moving to the left, some are moving to the right. And this is when lions take an advantage, or other predators, hyenas or even leopards, take advantage of such moving herds. Looks like they're not wary of predators at the moment, because it's just rain, so they cannot get that scent if predators are around. And sometimes that is what predators use as an advantage to stalk prey just after or maybe during the rains. You can see the backdrop of the Olololo escarpment over to the left, far left. This herd is on a mission, and let's see where they're going as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
We are still with our little lions, 4 of them here, 2 of them to the left of your picture, and they're still giving little calls, and it's not really explicable as to why they should have left the kill. Apparently the much smaller ones are at the kill with Dad, and Dad is being very gentle to them. And these guys have just come away for some pre-team lone time. Show how brave and strong they are. They aren't scared of anything. Why would they be? They're of an age now where very little would threaten them, and they're a gang. We still haven't seen the wound, no. That's it, roll over. Roly-poly. Come on, over you go. No. Some calling still. There's a bigger male off to the left, behind the pole. That is our rain cover. And what you can hear are some... You might be able to hear some frogs, but you can also hear some enthusiastic Cokie Franklins. Crack, 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 crack. Shame, so tired. I'm assuming they'll go back to the kill a little bit later when the hunger starts to gnaw at them after they've digested what they've eaten. But as I said, they don't look nearly as full to me as those 6 lionesses we saw earlier. We shall wait and see what transpires while you go to another part of magnificent Africa.
Well, welcome back, everybody, and I'm still in my position, and the lioness has gotten active. She's rather a shy one. She's part of the River Pride, and she came from the area where they've been hiding the little cubbies that I haven't seen, but she still seems to be a little bit shy. Every now and then she's lying down, not very confident like the other females, but she's headed towards the wildebeest that have moved on, and I'm hoping that, we're going to see a hunt, but she's a little bit not as active. I cannot blame her. She's been eating really well. They've been feeding really well, and so she might not be very hungry. She just wants to snack, maybe. And so she has left everybody looking after the young ones, and she's headed towards the wildebeest. I've been trying to see if she's lactating. This one, I don't think she's got any cubs, but could be very pregnant, so she could be giving birth in the next few weeks. Looks like she's carrying some young ones. Sometimes they do hunt towards the end of their pregnancy so that they can have enough fat or enough food to keep them going for almost 2 weeks while they stay very hidden with their little ones. You can tell that she's not exposing herself very much. She's quite low, and every now and then she's sitting down to observe, make sure that nobody has detected her, and that is very important because just moving out blindly and openly sometimes exposes you, and it just takes one topi or a reedback to see you, and then you starve, because once they snout or they make an alarm call and everybody around is alerted, then everybody's alert that you are there and they all run away. Then it makes your day very difficult. I'm talking about the lion, to prolong their hunt and time to eat. And when they are having cubs, it's no joke, they need to feed. So every now and then she will need to stop, observe, make sure no detection has been made, maybe even check the wind. That's what I think. Then choose which direction, either to continue with the previous direction she was heading or change strategy. But this is all earned by experience. By the time they're around 4 years, they fully mastered how to do that. But at the age of 2.5, 3, they're just learning the trades by observing the older lionesses in the pride do that. Well, she's here. She's heading towards the hunt. I'm staying with her. Let's see what another safari vehicle is up to.
Welcome back to Tswalu. Beautiful laughing dove in frame. We've just come to a watering hole just to see what activity might be lurking around this area. And beautiful birding at the moment. It's starting to cool off a bit. We actually just had a sight of a beautiful little blue butterfly called a common blue. It has flown away now, so we're just looking at the beautiful birds until it returns. We've still got a lot of starlings present. We did a bit of birding here about 2 weeks ago, where we had these flocks of starlings, wattled starlings, coming in here for a drink. And we're hoping for a bit of sandgrouse activity. It's the perfect spot on the left-hand side of the picture there, where these sandgrouse will come in for a quick drink, and we can have a fantastic view of these birds quenching their thirst, but as well as collecting water for their little chicks at the moment. And also it's a good chance of potentially, lion running into us instead of us running after a lion. It's this very beautiful spot. There's those beautiful wattled starlings, the juveniles. And this is the first time I've actually seen them on Tswalu in these numbers. The previous years that I've been on Tswalu, I've never seen so many wattled starlings. Let me just see here. Glenn, there's that butterfly back here, Glenn. Just off where we found the shore flies. Just hold on, folks. We're just going to get onto this butterfly quickly. Look how beautiful this little thing. Right in. You're on, spot on. Glenn has got skills, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that little thing. So we're using the pattern on the wing. So on the very, very front part of the... Well done, Glenn. On the front part of the wing, and as well as those two little dots that you can see. And if you look very carefully, there's two little stripes or two little belts that come out off the wing, which is also very, very definitive. This whole family has somewhat of a similar color scheme. So IDing them, you'll be using distribution, would be a big factor to ID a species. And then as well as their defined pattern on the body. And this is just one out of 75 different butterfly species recorded on Tswalu. That is tremendous diversity on the Lepidoptera family group. But what it could be doing now is just picking up some minerals and salts, maybe a little bit of water in the mix of things. But definitely some valuable elements it would be taking up there with its tube-like tongue or proboscis, which is rolled up like a Tootsie Roll. It's rolled up curled up into a ball underneath the head, and when one wants to use it, it extends this tube-like mouth. But what a beautiful butterfly. That is common blue. Well done, Glenn. Sure. It's a very common, widespread species through South Africa. So its distribution would be right through South Africa. I'm glad that you guys are appreciating this beautiful little animal. When it comes to the rains now, we can have puddles of 40, 50, 60 different individuals of one puddle. And then also we're in the route with the annual migration of a butterfly called a brown vein white, which travel tremendous distance across the country, moving in a northeasterly direction. And we can have times where we're driving on a road and the picture in front of you is just this constant fluttering of little white objects. Oh, look at the big dragonfly, Glenn. Oh, okay, sorry folks, it's a big dragonfly. The largest dragonfly that we have here, which would be a blue emperor. I mean, it's it'll be about 10 centimeters long. Imagine dragonfly that big. Sorry, I pulled Glenn off of the butterfly there. Tend to get a little excited. I need to look at myself in the mirror every now and then, tell myself to calm down, to a panic. There it is. Damn. Okay. But really special to see these little insects. We're going to send you off to another safari vehicle to see what they have. Oh, there it is. It's on you.
We are filming something much more easy, much easier. Flat lines, much easier to film than dragonflies. Dragonflies are a level down, however, from bats. And I've been threatening Paul with a bat sighting for some time now. Unfortunately, I haven't managed to find one that he can film. I suppose filming an individual biting fly might also be quite difficult. These guys have gone from pretty active to dead in the space of about 2 minutes. They're all now over here, 6 of them. And the 2 came over that weren't here, gave a brief greeting, and then promptly passed out. And, oh, let's go back to the dragonfly. Apparently it is, I don't know what it's doing.
Wow, look at this. So the skills of Glenn is just limitless, folks. I mentioned the dragonfly, and I don't know if he maybe sung a little song, but he most probably likely wooed this thing in. It has landed on our antenna pole, and what a remarkable dragonfly. It's not a blue emperor, so that's just shy of the size of a blue emperor, which would be one of the larger, the dragonfly whisperer. The blue emperor, which would be one of our larger species. This is a bit smaller. I'm going to have to ID this species. I actually don't know it. But we can see it's a dragonfly from the position of its wings. The wings are open, or horizontal with the body. The eyes are also touching one another. We've got a superficial dragonfly species called a damselfly. But what I just mentioned there with the wings, that would vary between dragonfly and damselfly. So dragonflies' eyes touch. If you look there very carefully, you'll see the eyes are almost touching one another, giving this animal superb vision. The reflexes of this insect is phenomenal. It is a ferocious aerial predator, and it would have spent its larval stage within a body of water like we are sitting next to right now, and underwater it is still a ferocious predator. Yeah, wow. But the eyes giving it a phenomenal vision, and their reflexes, I am just totally flabbergasted when you see the lightning fast reflexes that these insects can produce. And it's because of the mechanics of their wings. So those big, beautiful wings operating in variables, so they operate against each other, and then also the cross-section of how their muscles are designed give them superb performance. But a really remarkable insect. And looking at those wings, we have actually found fossil records in certain types of rocks that we look at the wing size, and we estimated that the wingspan could have been just over a meter. Obviously, when the Earth was more oxygenated than it is currently right now, would have given the ability of these insects to grow much larger. So I couldn't think of an insect with a wingspan of over a meter. It would be a little bit scary out here. But look at that color. Unbelievable. So you can see how the eyes are positioned. It basically gives this insect almost a full vision. Bernie, is the tail forked? Yes, it does look like it has a bit of an appendage there. That'll be very important when it comes to mating and also the identification of species. So we use those segments along with those appendages. So they're used in mating, whereas a male will actually hold the female behind the head with those appendages, which are referred to as claspers. And that's just ensuring that the male has a hold on the female and that there's no other disturbance or interruption from another male. Because insects can be very sneaky. Oh, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat today. Insects can be very sneaky, actually removing sperm which has been deposited from other males. So those little appendages are very important tools within the dragonfly world. But I'll have to get back to you guys, like I said, on the species specific here. I wouldn't even know who this is, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of homework this evening to identify it, but absolutely beautiful. And when do you get to see a dragonfly up close like that? Glenn, can you get a bit closer on the legs there? If you see the legs are forked or got little hooks at the end of the feet. Really beautiful.
Now, if you are very clever, what you do is you film the larval form of an insect, and in so doing, you'll find that it is almost inert. If you're very advanced, then you will choose the adult, and, well, in this case, it would be a moth, almost impossible. There is a hyena on the road behind us, Obviously can smell something. Now it's gone. Never mind. Stay on the caterpillar. Let's keep watching it. But the hyena will approach, I think, slowly. Not for the caterpillar. This is Mpho's new best friend. I've told him it feels really nice if you put them in your shirt and let them crawl around a bit on your chest and back. It's a really lovely kind of warm feeling they give you. Not so, Mpho. I remember Brent Leo Smith, who some of you may or may not know. He now runs Painted Dog TV. Was on drive here once, and he drove. Oh, hello. It's quite loud for a little lion. That's not the caterpillar calling, that's the lion. Our voice is breaking. That's very impressive. Anyway, this caterpillar, or a caterpillar and 48 of its closest pals, fell down his collar as he drove under a tree. That was the end of his drive, because he drove home tearing at his skin, desperate to get into a shower. We will hope the same fate doesn't befall Mpho. It's the same young male who's called every time. That was almost a roar. It's still a contact call, though. Now, you know why they've separated from the kill. It's because they're looking for the others. That's why. Obviously. And I wonder if the others haven't, one of them hasn't called. Because they're looking in that direction. Well, some of them are. Some of them looking the opposite way. The other lions are to the right of your picture. Renee, you're going to write a children's book now called Have You Heard a Caterpillar Roar? Well, I don't know how well it's going to sell, but I think, you know, by all means, it's very difficult to tell what art, literature, or music is going to work and what isn't. And while I have absolutely no doubt that any book agent in the world would tell you that you were being completely ridiculous, there are many who have got it wrong. J.K. Rowling was told many, many times, 19, I think, that Harry Potter was a worthless bit of drivel. So, you know, who am I to say that Have You Heard the Caterpillar Roar wouldn't be a roaring success? I'm assuming there's 19 unemployed book agents now. Huh? Oh, that's another one. They're quite far from here, chum. If you want them to hear, you're going to have to shout a bit louder than that. There are lions calling, but from the other direction. Very far away. So the Torchwood Pride is on a giraffe kill. I think that's what these guys are hearing way south on Cheetah Plains. Oh, how nice. I'm still not seeing any wounds. There is a bit of a bite mark. Okay, I see what you mean. On the far one there, Paul. Yes, there's a big bite mark. That one took a serious bite. Yeah, I think now our lions are calling from where we were before. The 6 lionesses. That's a proper call now. Come on, boy, give it stick. Well done. Now they're all gonna call. Young fellow's missing his mummy. Sounded like a burp. I think the lions also at the buffalo kill the contact calling. There's very gentle calling from there. Yeah. I think they're going back there now. Or they're going in that direction. Don't go, chaps. We can't follow you. Come back here. He wants his mum, this guy. Now they're talking to one at the buffalo kill. I can hear it going, ooh, ooh, at them. Oh, it's so sweet. Any of you hoping we'll see a reunion? Unfortunately, these guys are going back to the adults rather than the other way around, or whatever adults and youngsters are out to kill. Oh, yeah, they come. No, they're going back. Sorry. False alarm. I thought I heard the younger cubs calling. Oh, they're all getting up and moving off, except for this lonely fellow who wants his mum. This is the last lion we have. Hyena calling. And off he goes. Please excuse the pole. And that's the end of that. Off they go into Torchwood. I can hear them meeting up. They might all come up. Let me just move slightly. Exciting. Nice to see. All of you enjoying the sounds of the whooping hyena. No, they're not coming out of there, I don't think. So I would suggest what we do is probably head off back towards the other six and see what they're up to. Maybe they're coming this way. So that's what I think we'll do.
Just the remnants of one unfortunate kudu at this water's edge, so just a very dangerous site to come into. And to quench your thirst, you're going to have to do it sometime. And unfortunately, this kudu bull fell victim to some lions from the bushes. The sun is being obscured by a little bit of cloud cover that we are receiving, which is very nice. But we're just holding out here to see if anything comes into this watering hole. And we're also trying to ID and look for more insects, because there's quite a lot of activity, not just on the water's edge, but if Glenn can just show us quickly, look at the water surface. Look at the activity of all these aquatic insects. So you can see all the little ripples being made by insects hitting the top of the water. And I mean, there'll be a vast amount of insects in here. Dragonflies, mosquitoes. There's quite a few family groups which use bodies of water like this for their larval development. It's a controlled and stable environment. You got lots of food. And still blown away by that dragonfly. Glenn, let's get to this wasp up here. This wasp is busy collecting material. So we looked at pottery wasps. There it flies. Oh, it's going to come back down. Watch this. So this is a female collecting mud with her mandibles, which are like two jaws that interlock to one another. Very strong flyer, very aggressive predator. Oh, she's having a drink. You can see there was no movement. If she was collecting mud, what she would have been doing is forcing her face and those mandibles into the mud, and then creating a little ball, and then off with it she'll fly to where she's got this existing nest, where she'll create the little chamber for her little larva. Beautiful birds on the other end. Is that an Namakwa dove there, Glenn? On the opposite side of the pan. Yes, beautiful. Male and female. Marco, do we get hornets in Tswalu? Yes, we do. We get hornets, we get wasps, bees. And obviously you've got to watch yourself. I've run into situations where it's been very scary. That's one thing that people don't ever think about. Always ask that question as tour guide. What's the most dangerous animal? What are you most scared of? And along the lines, I heard from a very experienced gentleman that he was most scared of bees. And when I thought about it, Glenn, on the other side of the pan there, just right of the Namakwa doves, there's a wax bull. So where the Namakwa doves are, just go right on the water's edge. Go there. There we go. In there. Sorry, guys. There's a beautiful little bird here. Just trying to find it. But yes, bees you've got to be very, very careful with, because that's one thing you can't stop. Oh, it's gone. There was a beautiful little bird. They're called a violet-eared waxbull. Striking colours. And just, it's on your left. Oh, okay, let's go back to the, thank you, FC. Let's go back to the Namakwa doves there. Okay, let's go right there, Glenn. Just punching a little bit more for us, Glenn. Such a small bird, okay, drift right for us. So, the delay does not help. Beautiful acacia-pied barbet calling in the far distance. Those are laughing doves, hence the name laughing dove. Typical sound from the laughing dove. I always think they're laughing at me. But just a really, really beautiful scene here right now. The clouds that are above us, it's a little indication that weather might be changing. We've got some nice wispy clouds coming in from the north and northwest. So it might be a bit of change in weather. Glenn's going to show you how beautiful the clouds do make the landscape right now.
We've come across one of the little lionesses, and she looks like she's following a sentry, or maybe she's been walking from bushes to bushes in search of prey. Look at how she's walking. She's now back on the road. We only see her faces, and I'm sure actually on a mission, so I'm going to follow her very slowly to see if she might be successful, because there's some wildebeest just not far from here, and see if she might go on a hunt, or maybe she's trying to locate the rest of the pride. So she's still on the road, and I'm just following her slowly to see if where the wildebeest are, or maybe where the other lionesses could be. So I'm just going to follow her slowly and see what she's up to, because she's not far from the wildebeest as we take you over to another safari vehicle.
We have left our lions, well, they left us, as you saw, and I was in two minds as to what direction to take, and I didn't take the northern boundary, which may have been a mistake. I'm going centrally through the reserve, but I suspect these lions are going to cut pretty much halfway. If they come this way, they're going to cut halfway between the two routes. That were my options, but we might bump into them on the way. And I thought this one was a good one because, well, this is the most likely area for some leopards. Some leopards, a pride of them. Tingana was last seen in this area. Tundi has been seen relatively recently here. We're on the kind of northern boundary of Tundi's territory here. So Tlalamba could pitch up here. So that's why I took this route. I don't know if anybody told you this, but poor old Tswalu has had to return home because she has got a crick in her neck. So. Alan, I always say around about 2 years, I would call the sub-adults, well, 2.5 years, the sub-adults adults. The males, I suppose, strictly speaking, a little bit later, but the females are reproductively mature enough. They're reproductively mature, sorry about that, by about 2.5 years, and so I'd call them adults from then. And the males could reproduce from about 2.5 to 3, probably 3, but they won't unless they're extremely lucky, because they're just not big enough to take a territory, hold a territory, and so they won't until much later. But they're still adults. Oh, sorry. Little Ngala came hurtling towards the light. Got a big fright. Sorry about that. It really has turned into a nice evening. I'm hoping for a walk tomorrow morning. And many of you sending your best wishes to Tswalu. I shall pass them on. I'm sure she'll be okay. One of those ones that just didn't ease during the day, you know? Now I'm going to have to take on the responsibility for finding a chameleon. Not very good at finding chameleons. But I'll try. I will try. Let's have a little listen down here. There are lots of birds calling. Drongos. Mostly drongos. They're often the last of the daytime birds to call. Yes. And some crickets. Attract a really nice kind of background noise from the crickets. And a barred owl in the background. And frogs. Yes, lots of barred owls. Good. Oh my dear. The smell of hornbill, the woolly kebaboo. It is like jasmine on steroids. Whatever that smells like. If we can find these cats before the end of the drive. No? Staying with us, sorry. Now you're going somewhere else. Okay, well enjoy wherever you go.
So our lioness is talking, so we lost her in the grasses here. So we're trying to see if she'll walk out of the grass and come to the road and maybe go to the other side where the wildebeest are. So I'm trying to use this torch to locate her, but since the grass is too tall here, we've slightly lost her. So we're just waiting to see if she'll walk out because of the wildebeest. You don't want to scoop the wildebeest, but I just drive a little bit forward to see if she's on the road. So let me just carry on slowly. As I shine the torch here, she's somewhere in this long grass, and sometimes I'm just going to keep fingers crossed. And while I'm searching for this lion, let's send you over to another safari vehicle.
Look how beautiful this is, folks. Unbelievable. We have left the pan and we're driving this road very slowly to see if we cannot pick up on any big kitty cat tracks. There's some old tracks back that way, but nothing fresh on the road. Lions love using the road. I find lions using the road more than they actually meander through the bush. So using the road as a crossway to find where these animals have gone is a very efficient way of picking up on them. There's some old tracks. Let's just take a squiz here. Yeah, that's a very old. We're not going to use those. Making Glenn hold on there. Are you okay there, Glenn? But a beautiful sunset. Let me just stop here so you folks can enjoy that marvelous. Yeah, that is one thing about this area that I've realized over the past few years guiding here. The afternoon sun, there's just something about it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the red soil or maybe it's the ocean, a good couple of 100 kilometers away. But the sunsets here on Tswalu are just magical. And you'll see that the guides love sunsets. We take a lot of sunset photos. But truly beautiful. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes of silence just to enjoy that.
Jumbo, and here I have my lioness and she's on a hunt. The wildebeest are very, very close. I don't know if she's going to get anything, but anything is possible. She's just like only about 200 feet. She just needs to climb that bank and the wildebeest are over here. I don't know if we'll be able to witness that, but it's going to be something. She's just, following the track. It's pitch dark. I have no lights on me. And we are using the infrared lights to to be able to locate her. She has gone out of the road, so now I can move closer. I'm gonna move closer and see if we can find her. Every now and then I have to try it on the track. She has come back on the track, you can see her. I don't know for what reason she has decided to come, but the wildebeest are over here. They're all milling around off to my right. She's gone too far. I don't know where she's headed. Anyway, I'm gonna switch off and see what she's doing, because if she goes too far, she's going to be out of range. They're not there. They're off to our right here. So I don't know if she's going to be able to get anything. We have no single light on. Remember that we are on infrared, and we're following this lone lioness. She's quite a long way now. Her strategy, I don't know what she's planning, but looks like every now and then she comes out of the track, peeps on top of the track, and looks to the right. I don't know if we'll be able to show you the wildebeest. They're over there. Look at them. All those eyes, they look like a small city. Those are a wildebeest, and that's what she wants to hunt. So I don't know if it's gonna pay off. Yeah, she's still on the road. She's still moving further up. Her strategy, I don't know if it's coming from the top downwards. Looks like you can see that pale spot. Yeah, you can see the eyes. That is her. Yeah, she keeps looking, lifting her head up to try and locate, or actually pinpoint exactly where to follow. I'm going to try and move closer because my IR doesn't see that far without disturbing anything. I don't know why she's gone that far, because further up there is nothing much apart from grass, but maybe... depends on the level of darkness. If it's too dark, then I would say a good maybe 50 to 70 meters. That's about 200 meters, but it depends with the level of darkness. If there's a little bit of light, she can see quite far. Is that her over there, or where is she? Can we see her? There she is. She has left the road and she's turning right. Looks like she's strategizing. She's just, went on top of the truck there, and she's thinking, what to do now. I'm sure she's wishing if there were 2 or 3 together, then they'll actually, one will ambush and the other one will chase. Yeah, the wildebeest, where are they? Bungay, can we see them? There they are. Yeah, all those eyes there, those are wildebeest. They're not very far, only about 100 meters. The lioness is somewhere ahead of us. There she is, she is on the screen. She's moving. Okay, you can see her. Yeah, I don't know if she's gonna get. She lied down a little bit. Okay, I think what to do now is start to move forward. That gives me a chance to try and move forward a little bit and see if she's, so we're closer to her. Okay, let's try and find her again. She's somewhere in the long grass there. I don't know if we can find her. I can't see her unless she wakes up. Is she there somewhere? Yeah, there she is. There she is. You can see her. I don't know if she's gonna get anything, but definitely she is almost on top of them. She's coming from the top side. I think the darkness is up to her advantage. The prey doesn't see very well like they do, but they have, modified eyes. They are able to see better than night. They have almost 10 times better vision at night, more than us. There you see the eyes glowing. That's her. Is she gonna move again? Are the wildebeest nearby? Yes, I can see them. I can see a few. Quite a long way to the right there. Are you gonna go again? Remember, being a lion or a lioness, it's not easy. Everybody is aware that you are dangerous to them. Looks like she has strategized and picked up a different... It looks like she's moving further up. You see her? She's moving further up and maybe flanking them. She wants to come from a different direction. She's got the upper hand because the wind is perfect and also her eyesight is better. So, it's very difficult being a lioness. So it is very difficult and I'm very feeling for her. Well, it's been an epic evening here from Masai Mara and from other locations in Southern Africa. On behalf of me, my colleague, my cameraman, and all the crew that we have in Southern Africa in the Masai Mara, all I can say, stay tuned. I hope she gets something to eat and see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.
We are witnessing one of the most extraordinary scenes I have ever seen.
Hop on board the world's largest safari vehicle as we track down Africa's most iconic animals on our daily live shows.
This is crazy.
Captivating characters, breathtaking beauty, and daily drama.
Artwork, $1 million card. How insane is that animal?
Only on WildEarth. Discretion is advised.
Jumbo, and another beautiful morning has started. We are here in the Masai Mara and already the sun is up. Look how beautiful it is. We're ready for this morning safari and all I would wish you is to have a very good time. Welcome to your morning live safari.